She said, "Get up. This seat isn't for people like you." Nurse Amara Whitfield didn't raise her voice. She just said, "I paid for this seat," and folded her hands in her lap. 23 passengers went silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. They didn't know what she carried in the small bag at her feet, or what she'd carried out of a trauma ward 11 hours earlier without sleeping once. They didn't know that in 40 minutes, the woman standing over her would understand exactly what she'd done. And they didn't know the captain was already walking up the jet bridge. What would you have done, sitting in 14C, watching a gate agent call a boarding pass a lie? Stay with this. Because to understand how a flight attendant's cruelty grounded an entire aircraft, you have to rewind 3 hours to a woman brewing coffee in a kitchen that still smelled like her grandmother's. Amara Whitfield lived small and steady, a one-bedroom apartment, a silver stethoscope charm on a chain, worn every day, no exceptions. Her grandmother had given it to her, a woman who'd once been turned away from a diner counter in 1961 and still became a nurse anyway, out of spite and love in equal measure. Deborah Reyes, the gate agent working Flight 2247 that morning, ran her boarding line like a fiefdom. She smiled at gold status passengers and clipped her words for everyone else. Her supervisors called it efficient. Her co-workers called it something else, quietly, never to her face. At the gate, Deborah looked at Amara's ticket twice. "This can't be right," she said, and there it was, that word, can't, doing its small, ugly work. "Sweetie, step aside. Let me help these other people first." Amara stepped aside. She waited. When she boarded last, Deborah followed her down the aisle, insisted the seat was oversold, insisted louder when Amara held her boarding pass steady. "People like you always think a printout makes you special," Deborah said, and reached down and yanked the necklace off Amara's neck. The chain snapped. The charm hit the floor. Someone gasped. Amara knelt, picked it up, and said only, "That belonged to my grandmother." She didn't cry. She didn't raise her voice. She sat back down. Here's what nobody on that plane knew yet. 3 years earlier, on a night flight from Chicago, a man had stopped breathing at 31,000 feet, and a stranger in scrubs had kept him alive until wheels touched ground. That stranger had been Amara. Her grandmother taught her at a kitchen table 40 years ago that calm was not weakness. Calm was what you had left when everything else had been taken. Amara had never forgotten it. She wasn't forgetting it now. The captain, halfway through his pre-flight checks, heard the commotion through the open cockpit door. A raised voice, a name mentioned twice, nurse. He'd read an incident report with that same name in it, 18 months back, commendation attached. He walked back through first class himself. "Is there a problem with this passenger?" he asked. Deborah straightened her jacket. "She's being difficult," she said. The captain looked at the broken chain still in Amara's fist. He looked at Deborah. He said, "We're not leaving this gate until she's reseated, and this is resolved." Deborah's face went pale right there, in front of the same 23 passengers who'd watched her humiliate a stranger 40 minutes earlier. The overhead lights suddenly felt very bright. "Sir, I was just," she started. He cut her off. "I know exactly what you were doing." The boarding door stayed open. The countdown clock on departure kept ticking, and for once, Deborah Reyes was the one running out of time. It didn't end at the gate. A passenger's phone video reached 4 million views within 2 days. The airline placed Deborah on leave within 48 hours, then terminated her within the week. Amara filed a formal complaint, not a lawsuit, though her lawyer said she could have. She wanted something else, to sit down with the airline's diversity office and rewrite the boarding dispute protocol herself. They agreed. 11 months later, every gate agent in that airline's system completed retraining, built partly on her story. Corporate paid her $9,000 for the necklace, the therapy, the humiliation money she didn't want but accepted anyway, and then gave away. 2 years after that, a small scholarship fund existed under her grandmother's name, paying tuition for young nurses of color at 3 community colleges. Amara still wears a chain around her neck. It's a new one. The old charm, soldered back together by a jeweler who refused to charge her, hangs from it still a little crooked, a little scarred, exactly as it should be. If you go back and watch the first 10 seconds again, you'll notice Amara never once raised her voice, not when the necklace broke, not when the plane sat still on the tarmac, not even after. That was never an accident. That was the whole point. If this story moved you, hit like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments. Have you ever watched someone stay calm in a moment that would have broken you? Here's what really gets me about this one. It's not the gate agent's cruelty that stays with me. It's that a whole cabin of strangers sat frozen and said nothing, and one woman had to be the only adult in the room. Have you ever been the only one who spoke up, or the only one who didn't? Tell me honestly. I'll be reading every answer.